We're expecting you to come in and know what a hard hedge is. We're expecting you to come in and know what certain things is X out from the, help side. They may spend some time on it as a team collectively, but they're not pulling you to the side individually and being like, oh, let's break this down and X, Y, Z. That's not happening. That hasn't happened for me. It may in some other cases, but for me, like you come in, you should know these things. And that's a part of studying the game.
There are other opportunities overseas that players could focus on as well. So share with us a little bit about what daily life is really like for an overseas professional player.
So for me, I'm a napper, so I gotta have a nap in my day. But
before you play?
But for game day and regular training day, it looks a little bit different. For training days, for me, it's more so, I'm not really a breakfast person, so I don't eat breakfast. I know that's important for some people, but for me, I'm fine. But for me, we'll wake up, get ready for lift. After lift, some days we do like a noon shooting practice. And at this point, you can work on what you want to work on as far as the skills you want to work on. We'll have a team shooting session. And then after it's go to lunch. Usually we eat lunch at a restaurant. And then you go and you chill until practice about 5 or 6. That's evening practice, like team practice. And then you can do whatever you want after that. I usually sometimes play the game. Sometimes I do some computer work. I paint sometimes, just doing something, or just maybe chill with friends, have a drink or whatever. It's just whatever you want it to be. It also, don't get me wrong, also depends on what league you're in. Okay. Because some of the more demanding leagues, they're practicing 3-4 times a day. It's more demanding because of the type of league, but Switzerland is not a too demanding league. So that goes back to your point where, there are a range of opportunities for players, whether the China league is really, really big. They pay really, really well. And then you have other smaller leagues as well. And within each league, there are always divisions. So I know some D2 players, like, it doesn't matter if you go D1, but some D2 players that are thriving in some leagues,
Really? Okay.
So it doesn't matter. Just taking that chance and getting that foot in the door. And once your foot in the door, you're good. Yeah.
What should parents and student athletes know about safety and housing and support systems for players overseas?
Obviously, you have to know what country you're going to, because if you think about the Israel situation, they had players that are playing in that league, so they had to evacuate them. But usually, the organizations are really good on, if it's something that happens, they make sure the players are safe. And from my experience and from what I've heard about from other players, but as far as housing, just based on your contract, maybe you get your own place, maybe you have to share. It's just based on, how well your agent's able to negotiate and vouch for you.
Okay. And
as far as like a support system, this is tricky because these organizations, they're not really your friend. They're not really there to babysit you. Like, you're coming to do a job.
Right.
So I think family and your people back home is really, really big for a professional athlete, because it gets lonely, it gets real lonely, and, just having those people to constantly pour back into you to help you fill your cup so you can go out, and you need those people that, they thinking about you when they don't talk to you, what I'm saying? They reach out, because it gets tough, and especially when you have that pressure of playing, and, it becomes draining and like exhausting.
That's real tough. That's some of the realism that I think everyone needs to understand, that not only can it be challenging here in the United States, but also overseas. But I think you mentioned this to me before, Kiera, in one of our last episodes, that you didn't have a plan B, that this was going to be your life. And this was going to be your career. And with that, I would have to ask the question, what were some of the biggest cultural adjustments that when you were a young player that you didn't prepare for, that you wish you would have prepared better for, pertaining to the culture?
I'm so open-minded to different things. So I think the biggest thing for me was because it was a little disconnect from my teammates because I didn't speak their language, because I didn't, like, I wasn't able to relate to them that way. They still made sure I had a good experience and tried to include me. But it's still not the same. And sometimes it feels a little like isolating, but not in a way that they're making it feel isolated, but in a way that it's just like, dang, like, I wish I could speak so they could understand me. Like, I'm trying to explain this to them, but like, so it's just little things like that. Like, we'll all be playing games, card games, and like, they're trying to explain the card game to me in Spanish.
Right.
And I'm just like, man. So it's just little things like that. But like, for me, I'm always so open-minded. I think that's why I just love to travel, because I love to experience the different foods. I love to experience. So like, if you're open-minded, being a professional athlete overseas, and it'll be a breeze.
I love that.
It'll be a breeze.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
What mental challenges came from being far from home, and how can parents prepare their student athletes for something like playing overseas?
I think some mental challenges for sure are, the pressure of playing. The anxiety starts to creep in a little bit. You get homesick, and it's just a different level. It's a different mindset you have to have. And I think that parents can just allow their kids to make decisions, to allow them to figure stuff out.
Good
You know what I
point.
mean? I know we mentioned earlier how, like, we were talking about how, like, the conflict thing and dealing with conflict. And I think that when it comes to these high schoolers and them having conflict with a coach, or having, like, allow it to happen, allow them to make decisions and figure it out, instead of, like you said, put them in the transfer portal or switching school and just, it's a bailout. It's literally not teaching them anything, so just allowing them to figure things out, because in the long run, that'll help them, you know what I'm saying? Because when you get overseas, you ain't got mama to call the coach and be like, why my kid not playing? You ain't got them, and they're sticking with them the next flight home.
Right.
So it's just things like that. And also, as far as being like homesick and stuff, I know one thing my mom did when I was my first year. She sent me this big care package of like my favorite snacks in America. And it was like, and she put me some notes in there. She calls me Ladybug. So she put some notes. Shout out to my mom. She's amazing.
That's
But
great.
and it's just little things like that that'll help you, like, a little bit more. Like, it give you that push, that edge,
Right.
that boost you need. And so things like that, I
Yeah.
think, really helps.
Well, let me ask you this, Kiera. What level of professionalism is expected from players the moment that they arrive? When they land, let's say it's their first year, maybe let's pretend it's their first, second, third year. When you arrive to your team, and let's say you're going to a new team, what are they expecting from you when you get off the plane? What's the expectation from that player as soon as they walk in the gym?
Gotta be in shape.
In shape.
Gotta be in shape. They're expecting you to come in, and if you have a game in 2 days, they expect you to play. Like, they expect you to be in shape, and they expect you to, hold yourself to a standard that's, that upholds the club, that upholds yourself to that standard. And it's just like college, your social media needs to be clean. Can't have all that extra stuff on, you can't be doing, because you're representing not only yourself, but an organization that has youth watching, that has, fans watching. And it's really like college in that way. So college does prepare you in essence, but when it comes to, like, stepping off the plane, you need to be in shape, you need to be ready to go. Yeah.
So there's no transfer portal over there. You either get it right or go home.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, like, and they don't play, because it's like, they don't play.
Yeah.
They don't play.
Well, and now that you mention that, you've had a level of success overseas, and I did see where you were modeling some apparel.
Blessed Suits.
Okay,
Shout out to Blessed
okay, I see it on your
Suits.
shirt there. Tell us a little bit about that and how that came to be for you.
Man, so Simon, he's amazing. I met Simon in Switzerland, and he's the owner. Him and Jermaine are owner of Bless Hoops, and he reached out to me about coaching. So I go to this camp. I went my first camp. So what he does is he brings these international kids to America, and he holds a camp here. And within this camp, he's basically exposing them to the American style of play. And so he reached out to me last year, and last summer was my first time having a camp with him. And basically it's these Swiss kids, kids from Africa, kids from all over the world. They're coming here. They're playing a tournament, AU tournament in America, and they're getting that exposure.
Right.
And so I met him doing that, and I was coaching the girls in this camp. So that was amazing, and we just kind of stayed in touch and talked to him often. He's from Switzerland, and he wants to branch out into, you know, the sportswear and get the sportswear brand on. And Bless Hoops is what you make it, and it's for the players, you know, a brand for the players, and anybody that embodies this feeling of, you know, bringing that energy, bringing that you know, you feel blessed to be
Right.
in this, and it's amazing, and the movement is really well. And this year I also go to the camp and in July. So if anybody wants to lock in on the camp, you can be American as well, and
Okay.
come out. So
Where will the
and
camps be
experience.
held?
So we go to LA, we go to Vegas, and we go to Utah within a 2.5 week span. And so I think it's also good for the American players because now you're getting introduced to this European style of play. So this camp is all these European kids, and you can, you know, you're coming into, you know, an environment you don't know, you know,
Right.
even though they're in the America, you know, all these kids are the same. They're from Europe, and they bring they bring a different style of basketball.
Really?
So I really believe that European kid and American kid, if you could mix the two styles together, man, that'll produce something great.
Where could people get more information about the camps that will be held?
On Instagram, you can lock into Bless Hoops on Instagram. Yeah. And all the information is there in the bio and stuff.
Okay. And I'll be sure to put that up as we're talking about this. I'll put a little scroll across the bottom that they can go to that Instagram page.
Sure.
That's great. It's
amazing.
Absolutely phenomenal. That is really good. So let's talk a little bit about opportunities overseas. What long-term opportunities can overseas basketball open up beyond the court? Are there any sponsorships, any other careers that you've seen people go into after playing basketball overseas?
So a big one obviously is coaching, also sports agency. You know, when you get involved within these clubs and clubs trust you, you can start bringing players in, and then now you start to get a little brand under you, and okay, like I have this player here, I have this player here, and now it's becoming an agency. It's becoming, players come to me so I can look for them a team, you know, things like that. For me personally, I haven't dealt much with sponsorships because that comes from the organization. The organization gets the sponsors and things like that. But I haven't personally had the chance to dabble in that. But I'm absolutely sure there are things that come from that. But there are many things. And I feel like European is a great quality of life as far as living.
Okay. What do you think makes it better?
The food, what they feed their people.
Okay.
You know, how a healthier way of life for me, my opinion, because I live in both. And I think the way that, you know, as far as like insurance and healthcare and everything like that is set up is just at a completely different level than here. Yeah, I 100% believe that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two more questions I have for you before we get out of here. What are some misconceptions that parents and student athletes have about playing basketball overseas?
That it's hard. There are different divisions, different levels. I think that a misconception of, like, you know, missing home. I don't think it's a misconception. I think that overpowers the experience. You know what I mean? Versus allowing the experience to happen and take place. It's like, I'm gonna miss this. I'm gonna miss this. You know, you miss out on things that way.
That is a good point, because you're thinking traveling overseas, I'll be so homesick, I won't be able to do anything. But you have to understand that it's a whole world out there that we don't get to see. You know, we travel the United States, but that's not the world. You know?
Exactly.
That's not that. We're just experiencing a teeny little morsel of this entire planet. And so there's so much more out there that I think that American players should not be afraid to travel and experience different, because you can thrive when you go to a different culture, a different continent, a different country. it may be an environment where you feel more comfortable than you thought you would, and you begin to thrive. My wife and I recently traveled to the Bahamas. We went to another country.
Nice.
And I'll tell you, just being on that soil of a different country, I
It's
felt way
different.
different.
It's different. I think you just feel it. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
There's more.
Oh, yeah.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's commendable. And,
Thank you.
you know, there's a level of fear that people have that, you know, to overcome fear, you have to face that challenge. That's courage. You do something afraid and you face that challenge, and that it takes courage to do that. And that's what helps you develop. Last question I have for you. What should high school and college players start doing if they are dreaming of playing overseas one day?
For high school, I think, you know, your biggest thing is to get into college, because that they look at that. They look at college, and I think for college players, you know, when it gets to your junior and senior year, get those stats up. Not selfishly, still be that player. But when agents want to take you under their agency, they're looking at stats. And it sucks that in today's world it's about points, but as an American, they bring you overseas, they looking for you to put that ball in the basket.
Right.
Obviously for me, I'm a little more seasoned, so like my role has changed, and I can do that because I have been in the game a little bit. But when you fresh out of college, they're looking for you to score that basketball. So I say junior, senior year, freshman, sophomore year, get into it. You know what I'm saying? Get into the team, you know, build that trust from your coach. But junior, senior year, get those stats up.
Right.
Get those stats up.
And Kiera, how did you find an agent to help you go overseas?
So when I was about to graduate, there were a couple that were wanting me. And this is the best thing to have when you have options. You want to have options what agency to pick. It's just like literally just like picking a college to go to. Just like that. But you want to have these options of, you know, because now they're on the clock. So if I pick you, you're on the clock. You know what I'm saying? Like I signed with your agency, now like what you got for me? And that's literally how it works. So I had an option of agents to choose from, and I went with one. Unfortunately don't have them anymore. I moved on to another one.
And so one more question for you. Are there any players on the women's side playing overseas that did well here in the U.S. that are doing well in playing internationally?
That's playing in the W right now, Kennedy Carter. I don't know if you know her. She's playing for the Aces.
Okay.
Yeah, she is different. She's different. But if you look at the league, if anybody has a chance to look at the WNBA, you can like see how many European players they're bringing. Also look at the college level, how many European players they're bringing. So they're not just bringing these European players for no reason. It's because of the quality of basketball. So just like that, we're able to go over there and bring something as well and learn from that. But there are a slew of players that Julie Van Loo, I think her name is Julie Van Loo. I really admire her game. She's from Belgium, I believe. But she played in the WNBA. So it's a lot of players. And also like if, you know, going out of the country isn't something that, you know, players or, you know, parents, you know, want to talk to their kids about, there are leagues that's coming up. Charlotte just got a new this Upshot League is getting really big.
Yeah.
And but again, that's only a couple leagues, and that's only a couple teams. So
yeah. It's limited.
But it's still on the up. It's still on the up. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Well, Kiera, thank you so much for joining us again and for giving our audience a real look into the life, the grind, and the growth of a professional athlete overseas. Listen, your journey continues to inspire players, parents, me, coaches who are trying to understand what this basketball world really looks like beyond high school and college. So I want to say to our Recruiting from the Bleachers family, if today's conversation gave you some insight, encouragement, or even just something to think about, make sure you like, share, drop a comment down below. Let us know what stood out to you and what topics you want us to cover in the future. And until next time, let's keep cheering and steering our student athletes on to success. We'll see you next time. That wraps up another episode of Recruiting from the Bleachers. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and I appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to join us next week for another insightful conversation. Stay connected with us on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube at Recruiting from the Bleachers. like, share, and follow to keep up with the latest updates. And don't hesitate to leave your comments and questions. We'd love to hear from you. For a deeper dive into basketball recruiting process, check out our book, Basketball Recruiting, A Parent's Perspective, available now on Amazon.com. Parents, remember, from the bleachers to the big leagues to the boardroom, let's keep cheering and steering our student athletes towards success. We'll see you next time.